Hi, good morning, everyone. This is really great. We're all so grateful to Shelley for her initiative and organizing, a break for Torah and the ability to learn Torah in the middle of our lives and our days, especially now in these crazy times, to make it happen digitally. Thank you so much, Shelley.
Pleasure.
Today's learning has two dedications. One, we're learning for the Refuah Shalema of our dear friend Debbie Abelo, Devora Bat Nisa Etel. And we're also, our learning is also dedicated, as tonight is Yom HaZikaron. We're dedicating our learning to the fallen soldiers and to those killed in the terror attacks in Israel. Ilui Nishmatam. And we're so happy to have Lisa Fredman. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'll turn the floor over to you. Just a little technical note. Everybody is muted, but you have the ability to unmute yourself. So if you'd like to ask a question or something, I imagine there'll be a point where Lisa will open it for questions, or if you have a comment, you are able to unmute yourselves, and you can also write something in the chat. If you see at the bottom, there's that little green, not green, a little square that says chat. You can click there and you can write something to the group, and we'll all see your written message. Okay, Lisa, you're up.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Boker Tov. Thank you to Shelley. My friendship with Shelley goes back many, many years ago to elementary school. I won't say how many years that is, not to embarrass us, but thanks. It's always a pleasure to give a shiur. My chat box is not open at this point. Every few minutes, I will open the chat box to check it. Just that note to begin with. Okay, let's begin. Robert Alter, who is a Bible scholar, noticed that sometimes in Tanakh we have something called biblical type scenes, where there's a certain scene that plays over again 2 times, 3 times. And when you look at that scene and you compare it, each time you see a commonality and sometimes you see differences. For example, getting engaged by the well, meeting by the well. We have 3 couples in the Torah that meet by the well. We have Rachel, we have Eliezer and Rivka, we have Rachel and Yaakov, and then we have Moshe and Zipporah. That would be a biblical type scene, and there are other examples. What we're going to investigate this morning is on a small scale, a similar idea. Women looking through the window in Tanakh. There are 3 such women who we're going to investigate this morning. There's a 4th episode in Sefer Mishlei. For those of you who have joined from my Mishlei class, we're not going to speak about that episode because it's not the woman herself who's looking at the window. And I want to look at these 3 women who are looking at the window, and I want to see what message is this scenario, what message is it trying to portray to us? And second of all, I want to also investigate perhaps what could be the message of women looking through the window for us today in the situation that we're in.
Everyone able to see
so
Lisa?
let's begin.
Can everyone see Lisa? Am I the only one that can't see Lisa?
I see Lisa.
That's better. Now I can see Lisa. Okay.
Okay, can you see me now? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna begin. Our first woman in the window is the mother of Sisra. Sisra was a general in the time of the Shoftim, the judges period. And Devorah, the famous judge, and also she was a prophetess. Devorah, after a large battle, she writes a song, a poem about what transpired. And in the poem, she commends those tribes that came and helped fight with Bnei Israel, and then she chastises those tribes that were lazy. And at the very end of the poem, we have a very interesting description of the mother of Sisra, the mother of the general who we will see was killed in the battle. Okay, so I have both English and Hebrew here. I'm going to read it in Hebrew so we get a feeling. We have the translation on the bottom. Be'ad hachalon nishkefa. She looked out the window. Vatiyabev aim Sisra. Okay, and she wailed. She groaned, the mother of Sisra. Be'ad ha'eshnav. As she's looking through this lattice work. Madua boshesh richbo lavo. Why is this chariot delaying in coming? Madua echeru ha'amei markevotav. Why do the sounds of his chariot, why do they tarry? Chachmot sarotea ta'aneha. The wise women of her sarot, of her ladies, answer her. Notice, Aim Sisra is a wealthy woman. First of all, she has a window, she has a house. and she has ladies who are surrounding her. She's not a queen, but she's the mother of the general, and she's almost on the status of being the queen. So she's concerned about her son coming late from battle. Why is he late? And so her ladies, the wisest of her ladies, answer her. Afhi tashiv amarehala, and she even says to herself, "Halo yimsu yechalku shalal." It must be that what? They're dividing the spoil, the booty. Rachamatayim, the rosh geber. The woman, one woman or two for each man. Okay, one woman or two. We're talking about Jewish captives. Women, okay, are going to be given to the enemy. Shlal tzvaim l'sisra, shlal tzvaim rikma. Spoil of dyed cloth, embroidered. A couple of dyed embroidered cloths. Seba rikmatayim l'tzavarei shalal. Spoil for every neck. Okay, so we see here a description of Aim Sisra believing that maybe he's late because there's a victory, and they are now taking advantage and gathering all that they've conquered. Regarding the phrase Racham Racham Tayim, okay, which means of one or two, okay, for each man. Look what Rashi writes on the bottom. Me'anim nashim yaf Israel. They are raping. Okay, she's describing the army. We'll have in his bed. Shtayim v'shalosh nashim, 2 to 3 women. Okay, this is what she's describing. Okay, what kind of description is this? Cruel. What a cruel description. Okay, she's focusing on the fact that all these women will be booty for her son and for his army. Okay, regarding the word rachamtayim, which means a woman, it's very, very interesting, archaeologically speaking, that word rachamtayim, rechem, means a rechem, which means a womb. Okay, and the first time that we have this word, I'm just going to close the box so I can read the top here. The Mesha, there's a king they called Mesha. He was the king of Moab, and he wrote about his experiences. This is from 840 BCE. This is from the time of the Tanakh, about the time period that we're talking about. And he describes the battle they had with the Jewish people. I'm on line 16. On the left-hand side, you can see a picture of this large stone that was discovered, okay, in the 1800s, and it's now in the museum, in the Louvre Museum in Paris, okay. And what do we see here? What does it say here on line 16? Veharog kulam shivat alafim gvarim gvarot. Look on line 17. Verachamot rechem. Okay, maidens. Okay, so we see if we go back to the Sisras, go back to the phrase rachamatayim, we see that means a female. Okay, and we have corroboration from archaeological evidence from the same time period. Right? So if we look at this poem describing Aim Sisra, if we're looking at biblical poetry, we begin with the name of Sisra. Notice the name of Sisra reappears later on in the poem. We have a focus on the booty 4 times, the color green, shalal, 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 shalal. We have a focus on the women, racham, rechem, tzvaim, tzvaim, and so on. So in a sense, describing Aim Sisra, we have focus on women, on colors, on embroidery, objects. Everything is an object. And the mother of Sisra, who has feelings of concern for her own son, okay, she's called the mother of Sisra, has no concern for the welfare of other females, okay, who she describes in great detail here of being raped. It's interesting from the story of Aim Sisra here, the Gemara, the Talmud learns a lesson, learns a message. And the Gemara, our oral tradition, has an uncanny ability to take from such a cruel and grotesque description that we see of rape to teach us a moral lesson, okay? And the question is, on Rosh Hashanah, when we blow the shofar, okay, the word truah is used, okay? That word is found in the Torah. So what does the Gemara say? The length of the truah is equal to the length of 3 yevavot, but it has been taught. The length of the truah is equal to 3 shvarim. Okay, so we're trying to understand what the length of the truah should be. The noise that we call truah that comes out of the shofar. Abaya said, here there's really a difference of opinion. It is written, it shall be a day of truah upon you. Rosh Hashanah is called the day of truah. And we translate in Aramaic, a day of yivavah. As it is written of the mother of Sisra, through the window she looked forth and she groaned, vatiyavev. Okay, so the Gemara learns what exactly the tone of the truah sound is from the shofar, from the groaning of the mother of Sisra. In addition, okay, and it's something that many of you might know, it also has been noted that the 101 letters in the story of Sisra's mother, okay, there are 101 letters, and by blowing only 100 times on Rosh Hashanah, Ashkenazim counteract all but one cry, leaving that to the natural emotion of a mother weeping over her son. Okay, so the Gemara learns from the wailing of Sisra, the mother of Sisra, we learn a moral lesson. From the cruel description of the mother of Sisra, Judaism learns something important in how we have to live our lives, which is something very, very interesting. Right before the description of Sisra's mother, we have the description of Yael, another woman. And Yael is actually going to murder Sisra in battle. So when the mother is wailing right afterwards, she doesn't realize that her son is no longer alive. Let's look at the description of Yael in Devorah's poem, and let's compare it just for a moment to the description of Sisra, Sisra's mother, to see an important message. So what does Devorah say? Tivorach minashim Yael. Blessed above you is Yael, Eshet Chevra Keni, minashim ba'ohel tivorach. Most blessed of women in tents. And notice here, we seem to have a little bit of a tension between, we have Yael living in an ohel, in a tent, in contrast to Sisra, the mother of Sisra, who's living in a house. After all, she has a window. And in the ancient world, if you had a window and living in a house, you were wealthy. So we have this contrast between Yael living in a very simple home, in an ohel, in a tent, as compared to Sisra. Mayim Sha'al, he asked for water, she gave him milk. B'seifel Adirim, he krita chem'ah, in a princely bowl, she offered curds. Yadali Atet Shlachna, she reached out for the peg, the tent peg. Okay, she's a simplistic woman living in a simple way. What weapon does she have? The peg of the tent. Her right hand to the workman's hammer. The Halmas Sisra Machaka Rosho Machatza Bechalfa Rakoto. She struck Sisra, crushed his head, smashed and pierced his temple. Okay, notice when we saw the description of the mother of Sisra, it was all about objects. It was all about property. It was about embroidery, and it was about colors. And there were a lot of nouns. Whereas in the description of Yael, there aren't a lot of descriptions of nouns. There are action words. Right? They're action. She's a doer. So we see that in a very subtle way, Devorah is comparing and contrasting between the mother of Sisra and Yael. So Yael has now murdered Sisra. He is no longer alive, but Sisra, the mother of Sisra, is hoping that he is coming home. And one last interesting comparison regarding this poem, of Devorah, is the fact that Devorah calls herself B'Yisrael, the mother of Israel. Contrasting clearly to the end of the poem where she describes Sisra. Whereas Devorah is the mother of Israel, caring for the community, for the people, the nation of Israel. In contrast, we have the mother of Sisra, who only cares for whom? For what? For her son, okay, for her child. So what do we see in terms of Sisra, the mother of Sisra? We see that looking out the window, okay, she doesn't contemplate the reality which is about to happen. Instead of her son taking spoils, okay, he has been spoiled. So that's what we can take from this first description of a woman looking out the window. Let's move on to our second description. Our second description is describing Michal, the wife of David HaMelech. This is near the end of, this is later on in the story, when David decides to bring the Aron, the Ark of Covenant, back to Yerushalayim after it had been in another location for a certain period of time. There was a great tragedy, Peretz Uzzah, and people are killed on the way. And after that tragedy, David is now bringing it back to Jerusalem with great care. Actually, this was the Haftorah about 2 weeks ago on the parasha of Nadav and Avihu. Okay, they're both stories of tragedy occurring during a time of great festivity. So we're told, "V'David mechaker b'chol oz lifnei Hashem." We'll look at that verb in a moment. He's dancing with all his strength before God, before the Aron. V'David chagur ephod bad. Okay, and he's wearing some type of, specially special uniform, okay? V'David v'chol Beit Yisrael ma'alim et Aron Hashem b'truah u'b'kol shofar, right? And they're bringing up the Aron with the shofar, with the truah, and the voice of the shofar. V'haya Aron Hashem bat Ir David, okay? And Aron comes to Ir David. U'Michal bat Shaul nishkefa be'at hachalon. And Michal, the daughter of Shaul, is looking out the window. V'terei et melech David mefazez u'mecharker lifnei Hashem. And she sees David dancing and coveting before God, before the Aron, v'tivezlo biliba. Okay, and she despises him in his heart. Now notice here, she is described as Bat Shaul, the daughter of Shaul. She's been married to David for many years. Why is the text calling her Bat Shaul? Okay, we'll see in a few moments why. And contrast to here, and here we have the king being called Melech David. So he's dancing, and we looked at the verb, mecharker is a very unusual verb. It occurs again in Sefer Yeshayahu in Isaiah. And there, okay, when Isaiah talks about the future redemption, when they'll be coming, they will bring all your brothers from the nations on horses, chariots, wagons, mules, and camels, okay, to Yerushalayim, to the holy mountain. The word used there is the word kirkaot. So the type of dancing that David is doing is, he is in a frenzy. It's an animal type of dancing. He is so excited about bringing this Aron to Jerusalem that he is really into it. Like maybe at a wedding when you see people dancing in Chatan, they're really into it, okay? And she responds by saying, and the feeling that she has in her heart is she despises him in her heart. We'll see why. V'aviu et Aron Hashem v'yatzigu oto bimkomo b'toch ha'ohel. Okay, and the Aron is placed in Yerushalayim in a tent. Notice again here, we have this contrast between the house and the tent. Bat Shaul is in the home with the chalon, with the window, okay, and the Aron is going in the tent. So they put the Aron in their tent. Vayal David olot lifnei Hashem ushlamim, and David brings sacrifices. Vayichal David mechalot ha'olah v'hashlamim, vayivarech et ha'am b'shem Hashem tzvaot. Okay, after he brings the sacrifices, he blesses the people. Vayichalech l'chol ha'am l'chol hamon Yisrael me'ish v'ad isha le'ish chalat lechem achat ve'eshpar achat ve'ashisha achat vayilech kol ha'am ish leveito. Okay, and he gives them all gifts and he sends them home. After he does that, he now comes to his own home. Vayashov David levarech et beit. So he comes to bless his home, and we know that a wife is a home. Vatitze Michal bat Shaul likrat David. Okay, and Michal, once again, she's called Bat Shaul, the daughter of Shaul, comes out to meet David, and she says, Ma nichbad hayom melech Yisrael. How honorable it is to you, King of Israel. Asher nigla hayom le'enei amhot avadav, that you have exposed yourself to the handmaidens of your servants. Ki galot niglot achat harikim, as nothing would have exposed himself. It seems as though when David was dancing, and he was wearing probably a skirt, okay, some part of him became exposed, okay? And Michal, who here comes from royal lineage, Michal is Bat Shaul. She is the daughter of Shaul. She is the daughter of a king. She has a feeling of royalty, and she feels this is an improper way to behave, okay? Melech Yisrael, she's ridiculing him. You are the king of Israel. How can you act in this way? And that's the reason why the text is using the name Bat Shaul, to hint to us that she is upset to her core by this behavior because it doesn't fit her view of royalty and monarchy. And how does David answer? Vayomer David el Michal, Lifnei Hashem, asher bachar bi me'avicha mikol beitov, before God who chose me instead of your father and his household, that savot oti nagid al am Hashem al Yisrael, to become king of Israel. V'sichakti lifnei Hashem, I am celebrating and dancing before God. V'nakaloti od mizot, and I'd rather even do more. V'hayiti shafal be'enai, and be even lower in my eyes. V'im ha'amahot asher amart, okay, and those maidservants that you're concerned about, who you mentioned, imam ikabeda, okay, with them I will be what? I will be honored. So David is saying that my honor and my relationship with Hashem is more important than my honor for myself. And I might be belittling myself but it's for the sake of God, and therefore I feel that that's appropriate behavior. And our story ends, okay, and daughter of Shaul, Michal, unfortunately had no child until the day of her death. The idea of the window is a important image in the relationship between David and Michal. It starts out the relationship, and here it ends the relationship. Years earlier, when Michal falls in love with David and they get married, look what we're told in the very beginning of our story. Okay, Shaul, her father, wants to kill David because there's jealousy between them. David Michal ishto lemor, and Michal tells her husband, if you don't run away tonight, today, tomorrow, be killed. And he escapes through the window. She puts out a rope and he escapes through the window and he lives. Notice here in the beginning of the relationship, she's called Michal Ishto. Michal is her husband. She is her husband. Okay, and she uses the window to save David's life. And now, at the end of our story, she's no longer called Michal Ishto, she's called Michal Bat Shaul, her original maiden name, let's say. And here we know that she looks out the window and she ridicules him. She feels it's beneath his dignity, the way he's acting, and therefore there are the consequences. What happens between that first window scene and this last window scene? Well, there's been a lot of water under the bridge. We know that David is going to marry other wives. We know that Michal is going to give over to another man named Palti. And then David, in a political maneuver, is going to bring Michal back. Okay, and that middle ground has changed many things. Robert Alter writes something very interesting regarding this scene, the last scene. Michal's subsequent words to David seize on the immediate occasion, the leaping and coveting as the particular reason for her anger. But the biblical writer knows as well as any psychologically minded modern that one's emotional reaction to an immediate stimulus can have a complicated prehistory. The scorn for David welling up in Michal's heart is thus plausibly attributable in some degree to all of the following. The undignified spectacle which David just now is making of himself, Michal's jealousy over the amount of glory David is enjoying while she sits alone, a neglected co-wife, back at the provisional palace, Michal's resentment over David's indifference to her all these years, over the wives he has taken, over being torn away from her beloved Palti. So we have Michal looking out the window in that last scene, and her perception of what should be does not match that of David. And unfortunately, that will lead to her downfall. How does the story end? So we have David in Pasuk Chavbet saying, I'm not worried about my honor, it's God's honor. And then we're told that Michal has no children. What's the connection between those two last verses? So Mitzudat David, like most classical commentators, what does he write? Lo haya la vlad, yaled, be'avon, shebista et David al shekel b'chvodo lifi avon elokim. Okay, according to Mitzudat David and most classical commentators, it's as a result of the sin. Because she sinned, therefore she had no children, meaning it was a punishment from God that Michal would have no children. Robert Alter and many others see a different conclusion or connection between those two verses. There is strategically placed a gap between the end of verse 22 and the beginning of verse 23. Michal, hardly a woman to swallow insults in silence, is refused the privilege of a reply to David, nor is there any indication of her inward response to his verbal assault. The breaking off of the dialogue at this point is in itself an implicit commentary. David has the last word because after all, he has the power. Verse 23, the last one in which Michal will be accorded any mention, is a kind of epilogue to the confrontation, fastened to it with a special ambiguity. A reader attempting more to the personal drama that has been enacted between Michal and David might justifiably conclude that after this furious exchange, David simply ceased to have conjugal relations with Michal. So it wasn't necessarily punishment from God, but it was an act that David chose. I'm going to stop for a moment now before we go on to the last woman, I'm going to open my chat if I can. Just one moment. Chat. Okay. Does anyone want to ask a question? Either open a microphone for a moment and ask a question or chat me a question. I see one here. Could Bat Shaul be a way of emphasizing that she's not acting like the wife of David? Yes. And the Bat Shaul is emphasizing the fact that she's coming from a royal family, and that is important to her, and that takes precedence over other things. Okay. Any other questions that someone wants to ask? No? Okay, go on. Our third woman, okay, is Izebel. Izebel is a very, very evil queen. In a moment, we're going to look at her CV. Okay. Izebel is the wife of King Achav. And this is the scene where, we'll see in a moment, this is going to lead to her downfall. Okay, I want to read this scene and then we're going to talk about her. So we're in Melachim Bet, chapter 9. Navi kara lachad mibnei hanevi'im. Okay, Elisha calls to one of the Nevi'im. Vayomer lo chagor motnecha, gird your loins, v'kach pach shemen, hazeh biyadecha v'lech Ramot Gilad. Take this flask of oil and go to Ramot Gilad on the eastern side of the Jordan. Uvata shama ure'eh sham Yehu ben Yehoshaphat ben Nimshi. Go there and find Yehu ben Nimshi. Ubata vehekimoto mitoch echa ve'heveta oto cheder b'cheder. And take him inside a room. Pasuk Gimel. V'lakachta pach shemen, and take the oil v'yatzakta al rosho v'amarta ko amar Hashem mishachticha lamelech al Yisrael ufatachta delet v'nasta v'lo techakeh. Anoint him, tell him he's the king of Israel, and run for your life. Okay, this is what Elisha is telling one of his lackeys to do. And now we're going to see that he does it. Vayelech hanar hanavi Ramat Gilad. Okay, so he goes. Vayavo v'hinei sarei chayil yoshvim vayomer davar li elech hasar. Vayomer Yehu ami mikulanu vayomer elech hasar. He comes to the grouping, and the Navi says, "I have a word with you." And Yehu says, "Who do you want to speak to us? We're a whole group." He says, "I want to speak to you." So he comes out into the other room. Vayakom vayavo habaita. Vayitzok Hashem el Rosho, Vayomer lo Kama Hashem Elokei Yisrael, Mishachticha lamelech el am Hashem el Yisrael. So he takes them into his house and he says, "You are the king of Israel." And now he's going to give him a directive. Pasuk Zayin. V'kita et beit Achav Adonecha, destroy the house of Achav, the king of Israel. V'nikamta demei avadai hanaviim, and avenge the blood of my servants. Udmei kol avdei Hashem miyad Izebel. Okay, from the hands of Izebel, the wife of the king. Totally eradicate the household of Achav. That Izebel yochlu haklavim, and Izebel, she should be eaten by dogs, like Israel, and she should not be buried. He opens the door and runs for his life, and now you understand why he ran for his life. This is not a very nice prophecy that he's telling the new king. Okay, he's just anointed a king. He's telling him this is what you have to do. What is it about Izebel? What is so terrible about Izebel? 1 second. Trying to. Okay. So she was a foreign wife of Achav, originally from Sidon. She introduces idol worship into the kingdom of Israel, the Baal and the Asherah. She supports 850 false prophets. They are ochlei shulchan as Izebel. They eat at her table. She's involved in sorcery. She attempts to kill the prophets of God. She does kill some of the prophets, and she even tries to kill Eliyahu. She frames Navot, an innocent man, because her husband wants his vineyard. She has a mock trial, and she has him murdered. And the text says regarding Izebel, there was never anyone like Achav who devoted himself to doing evil, incited by his wife, Izebel. Okay, so she really is, this is quite a CV. She really is a horrible person. Okay, a horrible person in terms of the way she treats other people around her. So now Yehu has the job of what? Of having to kill her. Okay, that's part of the inauguration that was told to him. So here we are. So he comes, Vayavo Yehu, and she hears, and Izebel hears, Vatasem bapuch eineha, vatetev et rosha, vatashkef be'ad hachalon. She puts on her makeup, she does her hair, and there we have the phrase, and she looks out the window. Now, why is she putting on her makeup and doing her hair? So Rashi says, in order to have charm in Yehu's eyes so that he would marry her. okay? But others see a different goal, okay? Like the Ralbag says, she dressed her hair to receive the rebels with the dignity befitting a queen, meaning she is not going to go be killed, or she is not going to belittle herself. Okay, the royalty is important to her. According to the Ralbag, she sort of wants to keep her position, and she'll try to influence Yehu not to kill her. Or it could be that she's dressing up and she's preserving her dignity because she's about to die. And Yigal Ariel, in one of his books, pointed out in a footnote that this is similar to Mary Queen of Scots. It was a movie, Mary Queen of Scots. I didn't see it, but I went online to look a little bit about Mary Queen of Scots, and I saw something interesting, okay? This is a description of her execution. Her satin dress was all in black, embroidered with a black velvet, and set with black acorn buttons of jet trimmed with pearl. But through the slashed sleeves could be seen inner sleeves of purple. Her shoes of Spanish leather were black. Her stockings were crooked, were clocked and edged with silver. Her garters, whatever, let's go to the red. Stripped of her black, she stood in her red petticoat, and it was seen that above it she wore a red satin bodice trimmed with lace. The neckline cut low at the back. One of the women handed her a pair of red sleeves, and it was thus wearing all red, the color of blood, liturgical color of martyrdom in the Catholic Church, that the Queen of Scots died. Okay, the idea that she was so self-conscious of her status and her regal stature that even to her death, okay, she dressed the part. So it could be that Isabel dressed up like that because she knew she was going to her death and she wanted to go accordingly, or it could be that she dressed up for the other reasons that we mentioned. So she's looking at the window. She's waiting for Yehu to come. And now what are we told? Yehu Baba Shar, and Yehu comes into the gate. Batomer, and what does she say? Hashalom Zimri Horeg Adonava. Hi, Zimri, who murdered his master. Zimri was an earlier king who had staged a coup and had murdered his master. And she's nicknaming it, oh, you're Zimri who killed his master. And guess what? It's not stated here. How long did Zimri reign after he killed his master? Only 7 days. So she's at this moment when her life is in such a precarious situation, she's still, she's zealous, she has backbone. And she's saying, ha, 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 you're going to be just like Zimri. Vayisa panav el hachalon, Yehu looks up at the window. Vayomer mi timi, who's with you? Vayashifu elav shneim shlat sarisim, and 2-3 of her bodyguards there look down. Vayomer hishmitua, he says, send her. What does he say to her? He says, kick her out. Vayez midama el hakir vel hasusin vayomisena. And what happens? And they push her out of the window. Her blood splatters on the wall, and she is trampled. Interesting that right away when he says to these bodyguards, push her out the window, what happens? They push her out the window. Obviously, she was not very popular with her bodyguards. Notice in the word Vaishmituha that there's a vav afterwards. It's the red word, okay? And if you read it with the vav, it says, it doesn't mean push her out, push him out. And look what Razak writes. According to the Ketib, it reads, push him out. This alludes to the plot to stone Avot, who according to Halacha, was first pushed off a building before stones were laid upon him. According to Razak, in the word, okay, push her out, is really the word push him out, meaning this is payback time for the horrible murder of Navot, the innocent man, who was pushed off the building and then covered with stones. Her death by being pushed out of the window and being trampled by the horses, payback time for what she did. So she's trampled, she's dead. Okay, and Yehu comes and sits and he eats, which is a very gruesome description. Just a little about after throwing Yosef in the pit, brothers and have a meal. He said, bury this cursed woman. Why? Ki bat melechi. She's the daughter of a king. Notice similar imagery that we saw with Bat Shaul. She's not described her Isabel as the wife of a king. After all, she was married to King Achaz. No, bat melechi, the daughter of a king, meaning she had that streak of royalty and the importance of pomp and ceremony, and that's why he's saying she should be buried. וילכו לקוברה, they go to bury her, ולא מצאו בה, כי אם הגולגולת הרגליים וכפות הידיים. They only find her skull, her hands, and her feet. Vayashuvu, why? Because the rest of her body seems to have been eaten by the dogs. Vayashuvu vayagidu lo vayomer devar Hashem. They tell him, and he answers, it was God's word. Asher diber biyad abdo Eliyahu atishbi limot. He said to Eliyahu, Bechelek Yisrael yochlu haklavim v'basar Izrael, that her body would be eaten by dogs. Interesting again, the Radak point out, she's buried, okay, just her hands, her feet, and her skull in the territory of Israel. Because this window, the window that she was pushed out of, faced Naboth's vineyard, as it was stated that the vineyard was adjacent to the palace of Achab. Once again, payback time for what she did to that innocent man. When she frames Naboth and has him murdered, she violates 3 of the 10 commandments. The last commandment of Lo Tachmo, do not covet, after all, her husband wanted the vineyard. That's how the whole story started. She has a mock trial, which violates Lo Tanelecha Re'asher, don't false accusations. And the third is do not murder. Okay, so it's all payback time now. Regarding the skull and the feet, once again, our Chazal, our old tradition, always can learn a beautiful idea from a wicked person. Our rabbi said that she would dance before the bridegroom with her hands, her feet, and she would shake her head, and that's why they merited being buried. So what do we see regarding Zevel? That she looks out the window, and once again, it's unclear if she comprehends the reality that is about to affect her. It's unclear if she really sees and perceives what's going to happen. So what have we seen regarding this motif of looking out the window? We've seen that we're dealing with aristocratic women. They're drawn to the window, waiting for a man to come. There's a conversation that precedes their downfall. They're not totally cognizant of the reality that is about to affect them. And there is no continuity. The royal line is totally cut off. The idea of a woman looking at the window is not only found in the Tanakh, but it's found in the ancient world. We have plaques and so on of women looking out the window. And you can see here, it's from the 8th century BC, made of ivy. Notice the wig and jewelry that she's wearing. You can see that she is an aristocratic woman. I was somewhat limited in terms of being able to research this theme because of Corona, but I did come across one book online which I was able to open. Okay, and this is Nechama Ashkenazi has a book entitled Women at the Window. The image of women looking through the window was prevalent in the arts, architecture, and literary texts of ancient Near Eastern civilizations. Plaques displaying a woman looking through the window decorated couches and other furniture in ancient Near Eastern homes, and were also used as ornaments in windows. The woman at the window appears too in religious artifacts connected with the cult of Ashtaroth and her counterparts. Invariably, the woman looking out of the window is linked to the cult of fertility, or may sometimes stand for the goddess of fertility herself. It's found in, as stated, many, many cultures. But I see a stark contrast between the women in the window in the Tanakh and these other cultures. Unlike the women looking out the window in other ancient cultures, our women have no continuity. In place of fertility, descendants are cut off. And additionally, our women looking out the window are not goddesses who control the fate of others, but rather circumstances such as God's will, right, will control them. So we see the theme and what it means. How can it relate to us today? In essence, after all of mankind, we're all looking out the window. The Tanakh has nothing against looking out the window, but I think that these women were essentially not looking out the window. They were looking down from the window with their aristocratic airs and their aloofness. And perhaps many of us, including myself, before this pandemic, at times we were also looking down from the window. At times we were judgmental, we're condescending regarding individuals, okay, or regarding groups. And now, okay, as a result of this pandemic, it's been a social equalizer. No matter the race, the status, the religion, we're all the same. Whether we're the King of England, whether we're the Prime Minister of England, whether we're a Hollywood star, we're all in the same place. And we clearly now, all of mankind, are looking out the window, and we're not looking down from the window. And connected to this, I think, is another idea. Although we all live in a house with a window, and many of us have many windows, understand how quickly that house with windows can become a tent which is windowless. Overnight, you see how everything is fleeting. And I think that perhaps these are important life messages that we can internalize in comparing when looking out the window and situation today. I want to end on a happy note. The theme of looking out the window is not just women. We have men in the town who are looking out the window. And we also have a special description in Sefer Devarim. In Sefer Devarim, right after the section which describes when the Jews would bring the Bikurim to Yerushalayim, the first fruits, it would say actually the declaration that we read in the Haggadah, Arami Avei Davi. We have another declaration that would be said by the Jew. It was called Vidui Ma'asro, the declaration of tithing, that they had taken out their tithes as necessary. And at the end of that declaration, what did it say? Hashkitha mima'on kochecha min hashamayim. Look down from your holy home, your abode in heaven. Uvarech et amcha et Yisrael v'et adama asher natat lanu. And bless Israel and the land that you have given us. Kasher nishbata l'avotenu eretz zavat chalav udvash. Like you promised to our forefathers, a land flowing with milk and honey. This week, Yetz Hashem will be celebrating the 72nd anniversary of the founding of the State of Israel. May Hashem continue to bless in this blessing. May He look down from heaven, continue to bless the land of Israel and the people of Israel. And in Yetz Hashem, may also continue to bless all of mankind. Thank you. I'm going to stop, and I'm happy if people want to ask questions or if they want to chat, or I see here somebody wrote, would there be a difference if the window were open or closed? Very cute. There were no closed windows, I think, in the ancient world. That's, a window is really a sign of wealth. We take it for granted today. Anyone else want to? Any questions? You can open your microphone to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She's teaching.
Okay. Anyway, it was a pleasure. And if anyone wants to, whatever, get in touch with me privately about anything. Okay. Anyway, but it's a beautiful message, and I thought the theme of looking out the window was really very, very important one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
Lisa, you want to just press stop share?
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Great. Oh, I can see everybody now. Oh, I can see everybody. Hi, everybody.
We see each other.
Yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye. Thank you.
Hey, Shelley.
Hi, I'm not sure how to go off.
I'm going to end the meeting now.
Okay,
Bye-bye, everyone.
thank you.